How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. Just wanted to come on here today and give you guys a State of the Mavs update, which, it probably isn't much of an update. There's not too much to talk about these days, especially given the state of where the Mavs are in the Western Conference standings. Ever since the post trade, they have not been good. There's been some intriguing moments, but very brief ones, and the Mavs are still clinging to that 10th spot at the end of the Western Conference. But it is Friday, March 14th. Mavs are getting ready to face the Houston Rockets tonight. Which, more than likely, barring some sort of miracles, probably going to be a loss. I mean, let's just be real. But the Phoenix Suns, who are right behind them, and they have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and, they're on paper, they shouldn't be as bad as they are. And yet, the Mavs are 34 or 33 wins, 34 losses. Suns are 30 wins, 36 losses, and they're still 2.5 games behind the Mavs, and they do own the tiebreaker. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's too late for this team to tank. I think the highest odds they can realistically reach at this point with 15 games left, given the teams that are ahead of them in the tanking race, you can get to 9th, which is a best case scenario. More likely, if you lose more than you win down the stretch, and Phoenix catches you, you end up with maybe 11th or 12th best odds instead of being right there at the very end of the lottery. So I think that's the best case scenario for the Mavs, is if you're a supporter of tanking. Best case scenario is probably 11th best odds, realistic best case scenario. And again, if things go a certain way, you could see the Mavs potentially, getting up to that 9th best odds spot. But I don't think that's likely. I think, it's more likely that the Mavs will be in that 11th through 14th spot. But right now, the Phoenix Suns have to prove that they can win enough games to surpass the hospital Mavs. So we'll see. I said it on one of the previous pods that we're going to really test the level of suck that the Suns have been this season, because if they can't catch this Mavs roster with all the injuries and trading Luka and everything that's happened this season, if they can't catch this version of the Mavs, something is greatly wrong. And there's already been reports that they're probably going to blow their team up roster wise during the summer. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if Kevin Durant ends up going elsewhere. He's been linked to the Mavs a couple of different times. Devin Booker, we'll see if he stays in Phoenix. Bradley Beal, I doubt he's going anywhere unless he wants to go somewhere because he has a no trade clause. It's a weird time for the Suns, so we'll see. It's a weird time for the Suns, so we'll see how it goes. But but tonight they play the Houston Rockets. We'll see how that goes. Always keeping an eye on the standings, but it's kind of a weird situation because, the Mavs, they, the best course of action would probably be to, not bring back Anthony Davis and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, which, we're not sure they'd be able to come back anyway. But I think at this point, you take your lottery pick, you get everybody healthy, you come back next year, make some kind of move in the off season to help you survive the half of a season you're probably going to miss from Kyrie Irving next year due to the ACL injury, and then go from there. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's the vibes are not. they're still not great. They're not great for the Mavs or on the fan base on social media. I can't post anything, even trying to be remotely positive that there's not somebody or a handful of people giving sarcastic responses in there. And I mean, look, I'm not saying you can't do that. I don't tell people how to be fans. I'm just saying, emotions are still very high, and people have to voice those frustrations somewhere. And I get it. The the comment section on my page just happens to be one of those places sometimes. So, it is what it is. People can vent and grieve and do exactly how they need to. So, I didn't like the trade. I thought, in a nutshell, you could probably make an argument for why they wanted to trade Luka, but you can't make a justifiable argument for the package that they accepted for Luka. So that's my opinion on it. I would have rather them not trade Luka at all. But, even if you do decide to trade Luka, you got to get more back. At the very minimum, you got to clean the Lakers out of all the assets that they could have possibly offered, and they didn't do that. So and now AD's hurt and Kyrie's hurt, and that window that Nico Harrison claimed, that short-term window, that 3 to 4 years, it's pretty much getting shorted by probably 2 years. Definitely 1 year, because this year's a wash. And we'll have to see how next year goes, because I believe Kyrie can work his way back into being a very good player, but it's going to take a little bit, once he does come back from the injury, to get, warmed up, to knock off rust and everything. And you're already missing half a season. So I'm not 100% sure how all that's going to work out. But all I know is that window that Nico Harrison thought he had with this win now roster has been greatly decreased. So everybody's upset still. I get it. I'm not telling people how to be fans. I'm just observing. I'm observing based on what people are commenting to me. Not everybody. Some people are like me, and they're tired of the daily doom and gloom and just trying to move past it. Not because we agree with what happened, just because of the sheer fact that we're tired of all the doom and gloom, and we're trying to have some sense of normalcy and just moving on. So it is what it is. It sucks. It really does suck. But at some point, it's we're gonna have to kind of settle in with it, and I'm just trying to get a head start on that. So, but I realize that other people might not feel the same way. That's fine. If you want to cope, with different methods, if you're a person that likes to cope with eating things, that's one thing. I'm going to promote Shantyman now. They got premium beef jerky. They got meat sticks. They got all kinds of stuff. This is the habanero flavor, which has a very good taste to it. I personally like the flavor. Now, I do like spicy stuff. I'm not like a super spicy fan, though. If you like spicy stuff, this is the one for you, because it has a great flavor, and it also has a great kick, too. I'll be honest, a little too much of a kick for me personally. But again, if you're more of a spicy fan than I am, this might be the flavor for you. We did dill pickle flavor last week. That's my personal favorite, but this is also an option for all of you spicy fans out there. So if you want to go to shantymanfoods.com, you can use our promo code SBMavs30 and get 30% off your entire order. Again, that's shantymanfoods.com, and use our code SBMavs30 to get 30% off your entire order. So yeah, I mean, look, I don't know where the Mavs go from here. There were rumors about Kevin Durant in the offseason. I don't know if the Kyrie injury alters that any. I've been debating I was actually planning on writing about the KD trade scenarios for this offseason because I've heard things from multiple people who know what they're talking about, and I'm not claiming to be some, Shams Charania NBA insider, but I'm just saying, I talk to people, I hear stuff. I was pretty much dead set that the KD trade to Dallas was definitely happening this offseason based on things that I've heard. After Kyrie got hurt, I don't know if that changes that or not. All I know is that, I was pretty certain that the trade for Caleb Martin, trading Quentin Grimes to Philadelphia, who was about to be a restricted free agent and making like $4 million a year as a upcoming restricted free agent, for Caleb Martin, who is making $9 million a year for the next couple years. I felt like that was a move specifically for this summer to use Caleb Martin as salary filler for a KD trade. Now, ideally, I don't think it's smart for the Mavs. Ideally, you don't do that trade because I don't think it's smart for the Mavs to try and match salary for KD, and then you're giving up. You're pretty much gutting your roster. I mean, you got to give up Clay, you got to give up Daniel Gafford, and then some combination, whether it's PJ Washington, the Caleb Martin, Najee Marshall. You could throw Jaden Hardy in there and try and make some other stuff work. But essentially, you're either having to give up Clay, Gafford, and Marshall. Clay, Gafford, and PJ Washington. You're having to give up all three of those, or you're having to give up Clay, Gafford, and several other players, including Najee, Caleb Martin, Jaden Hardy, other fillers like that, to where you're essentially trading like 6 players for one. Either way is not ideal. I think if you trade for KD, the goal would be you definitely do not trade Derek Lively, which I've seen several Suns fans mention that that's what they'd like. I wouldn't do that. Derek Lively at this point, in my opinion, would be off limits because, he's already shown how good he can be, and he's only 21 years old, or 20 years old. I think he's 20, maybe 20, 21. I don't know, but he's very young. You have Max Christie, who's just a year older than Derek Lively. You have some good, solid young pieces, so I think you want to hold on to them. If you can get KD and trade, with the main salary pieces being Gafford and Clay, and you can keep PJ Washington with these younger pieces around them, and then you also have Kyrie and AD, then maybe you have something. But look, we said it before, whether this trade turns out to be, I don't think we can say it can turn out to be a good decision just based on how little they got for Luka, based on what Luka has done in his career so far and coming off a finals appearance. But for the trade to not be as much of a disaster, it's all dependent on Luka. It's what Luka does. It doesn't matter what the Mavs do, in my opinion. Mavs management clearly does not believe in Luka's long-term durability or short-term durability for that matter. They don't believe in it. They believe that Luka's past his physical prime. You can make an argument for that. Even though he's still very good. I mean, he might be past his physical prime just based on, how long he's been a pro. But if you are going to trade a guy like that, you better be absolutely sure that, that's going to happen. Because if Luka goes on to win a title with LA, and especially this year, then, it's probably the worst trade in NBA history. So that's the kind of bet that the Mavs have made. That's the kind of, bed they've made for themselves, and they're going to have to lay in it. So, we'll see how it goes. We're going to keep an eye on these standings, come back and give you weekly updates. But unless something just crazy happens, unless Anthony Davis comes back and, we have something a little bit more to talk about, we're just going to give y'all some some brief updates week to week as we get closer to the off season. So, guys, appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.